What would happen if Akaza were a demon slayer? What would his breathing style be? How would he get along with the other pillars? And most importantly, what changes would he make to the story of Demon Slayer? Well then, it's time to find out. In the original story, Akaza was a man with impressive potential for power even before he transformed into a demon, Akaza. Or rather, Hakudi, his original name before he became a demon, was a man who specialized in martial arts, capable of ending the lives of dozens of trained fighters using only his bare hands. These qualities caught the attention of Muzan Kibutsuji, leading him to turn him into one of his upper ranks. But how powerful would he be as a pillar? Akaza became Upper Moon 3 not only after receiving an insane amount of Muzan's blood, but also because upon becoming a demon, he only enhanced his talent and natural strength. He demonstrated this by maintaining the position of Upper Moon 3 without feeding on many people, due to his conduct of not devouring women and only consuming powerful warriors. He was a demon who, for almost his entire existence, increased his power by constantly training. So how powerful would Akaza be as a slayer? With his natural abilities, he would have much greater potential than several Hashiras, and with proper training, he could reach the position of the third most powerful pillar in the Demon Slayer Corps. He would be just below Tengen Uzui and Gyome Himejima, which parallels his position among the upper moons in the canonical story. But how would it be possible for Akaza to coexist with the current Hashiras since he is such an ancient demon? For this story, the canonical events would have to be completely rewritten. As someone over 200 years old, Akaza would have to be born in the Taisho era, the period of the original story, where his demon name would never exist. So, he would be just Hakudi with his human name. Hakudi's story begins just like in the original timeline, as a young man who's told to take care of his sick father. After seeing his father suffer daily beatings and then kill himself so Hakudi would stop stealing for him, his father's final words would be engraved in his heart forever. Just like in the original timeline, his father asked him to live an honest and stable life without feeling ashamed of himself. Hakudi would be shaken and confused for a long time. Soon, during one of his street fights, Hakudi would be stopped by a mysterious man, a master of martial arts, who, after knocking him unconscious, would decide to train him upon noticing his potential. These events would only gradually warm Hakudi's heart, especially after meeting Koyuki, his master's sick daughter, who would become his fiancée. As the years went by taking care of Koyuki, her father and Hakudi's master finally gave his blessing to his student to marry his daughter and take over the dojo. Not only because he had proven to be a good man, but also because of his incredible talent in battles, defeating all the rival dojos. A natural skill that would awaken the envy and resentment of the defeated fighters. In an act of revenge, while Hakudi was visiting his father's grave, these rivals would poison the dojo's water, killing both his master and Koyuki, his fiancée. The event would darken Hakudi's heart, and consumed by fury, he would end the lives of the trained men from the rival dojo using only his hands. Before he fell completely into darkness, he would be stopped by Jigoro Kuwajima, the former Thunder Pillar, who would take him on as his new apprentice and teach him the thunder breathing technique. But why would Jigoro accept someone as aggressive as Hakudi as his disciple? You see, upon witnessing all that anger and power, the former Thunder Pillar realized that behind it all, there was a noble heart that could fight alongside the Demon Slayer Corps. In the original storyline, Jigoro always showed himself to be a sentimental man, saving Zenitsu from his debts and raising him as if he were his own grandson. Thus, it's possible to imagine that he would become a father figure to Hakudi, guiding him on the right path. Notice that replacing Muzan with Jigoro would change Akaza's entire story, or rather Hakudi's. As Hakudi's training progressed, Jigoro would notice Hakudi's natural talents, showing that he was becoming an excellent swordsman in such a short time that he could hardly even realize it. To ensure Hakudi's maximum potential as a martial arts warrior, Jigoro would make a special request to the Swordsmiths, so that as soon as Hakudi became a true Oni hunter after surviving the final selection test, Hakudi Hakudi would obtain a pair of brass knuckles coated with sunstone, so that he would not only use his sword, but also use all his knowledge and talent as a martial artist, shaping his skills with thunder breathing more and more each day. His strikes were precise and fast with the sword, and his fists were like crushing destructive lightning. As the years went by, he would become the new Thunder Hashira, a title he earned through his own merits. To become a Hashira, you must defeat a lower or upper moon, but you can also become a Hashira by defeating an absurd amount of 50 demons throughout your journey. In Hakudi's case, while being near Kanao, he sees the flower Hashira fighting against Douma, the upper moon too. By saving Kanao and helping to keep the battle going until dawn against Douma, Hakudi earns the position of the new Thunder Hashira, with his main goal being to keep his promise to Kanai to destroy Douma. That's because Douma was a creature who devoured defenseless women, unforgivable acts for the new Thunder Hashira. Dark events like this would always be soothed by his best friend, Kyojuro Rengoku, the hunter whom Hakudi would admire for his nobility and fighting spirit. Here, events very similar to the original story would begin to occur. Hakudi would be summoned for an audience by Master Ubuyashiki, where the young hunter with Hanafuda earrings would arrive, asking for forgiveness for his demon sister, claiming that she was completely harmless. This would awaken a protective feeling in Hakudi, which would make him stop Sanemi from hurting her, standing by Tanjiro and giving Nezuko a chance. And as a pillar, his opinion is very important to the organization. So, refusing to let his best friend go alone on a potentially deadly mission, Hakudi would board the Mugen train with Rengoku. There they would meet Tanjiro and his friends, and also Lower Moon 1, who would be destroyed along with the train that would go off the rails because of an upper moon sent personally by Muzan to finish off Tanjiro, the boy with the Hanafuda earrings. However, if Hakudi is not Oniaki, the one who in the original timeline would be the one to appear to kill Tanjiro, who would be in his place? Well, before I tell you, if you're enjoying this story, use your thunder breathing down below to like the video. And if you want to keep watching these crazy theories, subscribe to the channel with the notification bell on. Thank you to the channel members for always supporting the channel. May Ayori always bless you. Now look, after this pseudo victory against Lower Moon 1, they would all be intercepted by Douma, and the only Oniaki in this story would replace Akaza as Muzan's envoy. Would Rengoku survive this time? Notice that Douma as Upper Moon 2 was always stronger than Akaza, with a vast difference in speed between the two Upper Moons. Thus, an epic battle would begin between the Flame Hashira and the Thunder Hashira against the second Upper Moon. During the confrontation, Douma, upon recognizing Hakudi's face, would spend the entire time provoking him and exposing him to serious harm with his cryokinetic demonic techniques. Hakudi was always a hot-tempered person, so at some point he would fall for Douma's provocations, losing his composure. Because of this, a fatal attack could destroy him if it weren't for Kyojuro Rengoku, who, in an attempt to protect Hakudi, would suffer attacks that would destroy his body, symbolically turning him into a donut. Despite his injuries, Rengoku would try to decapitate Douma. The demon, after being hit by a serious attack from Hakudi, would use his most powerful technique to push them away and escape from the sunlight. Here, another major twist. Hakudi would throw his sword using thunder breathing against Douma, but it would be useless as the demon would regenerate almost instantly and escape. In his final moments of life, Rengoku would have his last conversation with the hunters, but he would add something to Hakudi. Don't let them poison your heart. Keep your spirit always burning. Take care of my disciples. Thus, the Flame Hashira would die in an epic way. After recovering from his injuries, Hakudi, honoring his friend's last words, would train Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Nosuke with the goal of making them future Hashira. He would put them through exhausting training, in which Zenitsu, like his younger brother, would be able to master various forms of thunder breathing thanks to the lessons he received. Tanjiro and Nosuke would also greatly increase their power compared to what they had in the original timeline. One day, Tanjiro and Tengen Uzui would arrive at the Butterfly Mansion asking for help to rescue his wives. Touching Hakudi's heart, he would join Tanjiro's group to accompany him to the entertainment district, where they would face Upper Moon 6, Gyutaro, and Daki. The battle would proceed similarly to the original storyline, but the moons would use their full power from the start due to Hakudi's presence. In this fight, Tanjiro would finally awaken his Demon Slayer mark, which would make it easier for the group to win and decapitate decapitate Gyutaro. In the end, everyone would be cured of the poison by Nezuko. Thanks to Hakudi's presence, Uzui wouldn't lose his eye or his hand, remaining active in the Demon Slayer core. However, Hakudi had his sword brutally destroyed by Gyutaro's insane attacks. Just like Tanjiro and Nezuko, the Demon Slayers head to the Swordsmith village. Meanwhile, in the Infinity Castle, Muzan orders Gyoko and Rantengo to attack the Swordsmith village, with the difference that this time, Douma would also receive this mission. But why would Douma go? Precisely because he failed with Kanai, and also on the Mugen train, he would be receiving his last chance given by Muzan before being destroyed by him. When they are surprised by the attack of the Upper Moons on the Swordsmith village, Hakudi, alongside Mitsuri, saves the Swordsmiths from Gyoko's demon fish, encountering him earlier than Muchiro Tokito. While Mitsuri moves forward to help Tanjiro and the others deal with Rantengo and his clones, clearing Gyoko's fish along the way, she arrives earlier at Tanjiro and Muchiro's room, helping the Mist Hashira not to be thrown by Rantengo's clone. While Hakudi deals with Upper Moon 5 more easily than Muchiro due to his talent and potential being superior to the Mist Hashira, he would destroy the skin set by Gyoko to be harder than diamond in his hybrid fish form with his own hands, with devastating punches being faster than lightning itself. After the hunters awakened their hunter marks and defeated Upper Moon 4, the hunters would fall unconscious and be out of action, having pushed their bodies to the limit, except for Nezu, who, worried about Hakudi's whereabouts, would go looking for him. Meanwhile, miles away, a strange snowstorm would awaken the Hashiras, who would be on guard when they saw the second Upper Moon, Douma, standing before them. Thus, another epic battle would begin, in which both Hashiras would activate their hunter marks once again. With Mitsuri and Muchiro exhausted, Douma would gain the upper hand in this battle until Hakudi arrived, making his epic entrance and protecting Mitsuri from a devastating blow. As the battle unfolds, Hakudi awakens his hunter mark, a power that would put Douma in serious trouble. At this moment, an epic duel would begin between Hakudi, the Thunder Pillar, and Douma, the Upper Moon 2. After showing all his power and using all his stances, Hakudi would manage to decapitate Douma. However, by overcoming his weakness as an Oni, he would regenerate his head easily, just as Akaza and Kokushibo have already shown they are capable of in the original storyline. With Hakudi gravely wounded, barely able to breathe, and on the verge of being devoured by Douma, he would be saved by Nezuko in her ultimate demon form. Nezuko would start a new battle. Her flaming blood demon art would affect Douma's entire body, giving Hakudi the chance to keep fighting until dawn. Even with a large part of her body devoured, Nezuko would resist and keep Douma under the sunlight, causing the disintegration of the second Upper Moon. In his final moments, Douma would see Nezuko regenerate parts of her body and become practically immune to the sun. Realizing that Muzan would come after Nezuko, Kaguya organizes the training of the Hashiras. At the same time, Shinobu and Tamayo would begin Nezuko's treatment to turn her back into a human, while also creating a substance capable of weakening the Demon King. With Muzan's arrival, Kaguya would greet him with an explosive trap, then Tamayo would weaken him and all the Hashiras would drag him into the Infinity Castle. Thanks to the hunters' efforts against the Upper Moons, Muzan would have few formidable allies left to fight against the Hashiras. Soon, most of the Hashiras would encounter Kokushibo, who, in his serious mode and without hesitation, would challenge all the hunters to an all-out fight, ready to use the full extent of his power from the very beginning. Unfortunately, Kokushibo would brutally finish off the Mist Hashira, as well as defeat Sanemi and Genya. These events would provoke the fury of the surviving hunters. However, Tanjiro, using his sun breathing, delivers the final blow to Upper Moon 1, making him remember his brother and finally give up his life as a demon. Thus, they would proceed to the final confrontation. After Obanai and Mitsuri defeat Nakimi and deactivate the demon's blood demon art, that is, destroying the Infinity Castle, the battle against Muzan begins. With Muzan taking the lives of Mitsuri and Obanai, who would sacrifice themselves to protect their companions. When Muzan leaves all the hunters gravely wounded, there would then remain a fight between Muzan and Tanjiro, who manages to withstand the confrontation until dawn. Under the sunlight, Muzan would be forced to transform into a gigantic creature. Moments before devouring Tanjiro's arm, he would be interrupted by Hakudi, who would switch places with Tanjiro and lose his arm in the process. With their remaining strength, all the surviving hunters would attack together, finally destroying Muzan's monstrous form and ending the demon threat. Because of his serious injuries in his final moments, Hakuri was happy to have fulfilled the promise he made to his best friend. Before dying, he would see the souls of Kyojiro, his father, happy to have him as a son, his master Keizo, and his fiancée Koyuki, who would peacefully take him to the other world. Yome was also unable to withstand his serious injuries and did not survive. However, he died happy and at peace, knowing of the defeat of the demons. But fortunately, Shinobu and Gyu would live together until they were 25 years old due to the effect of the hunter's mark. Uzui would return to his wives, while Zenitsu and Nezuko, now human and cured, would move with Tanjiro and Kanao to the countryside, with Oinosuke traveling the world with Aoi. This is the end of this story. If you enjoyed it, like the video and comment below what your favorite part was. Remember to watch this video I picked out for you. I guarantee you won't regret it. I'll see you there, otaku.